Amina sat cross-legged on her bed, the white button-up shirt draped over her head like a makeshift wig. She tilted her head, letting the imaginary blonde tresses sway as she practiced twirling them like the girls in her favorite TV shows. Her fingers dabbed at her cheeks with a pale cream her mother used for blemishes. Amina didn't have blemishes, but the jar whispered promises of lighter skin. She wished she could wake up the next morning and be different. Prettier, whiter. "Amina," called a voice from downstairs. It was Grand Aunt Zara, visiting for the summer. Amina didn't respond. Zara didn't tolerate nonsense, and Amina was sure she'd call her out for the cream and the hair. But Zara's soft knock came anyway, and before Amina could hide, her grand aunt pushed the door open. Her sharp eyes scanned the scene, the shirt hair, the cream, the wistful expression on Amina's face. "I see you're playing dress-up," Zara said slowly, her accent carrying the rhythm of distant lands. Amina looked down, embarrassed. "Just pretending." Zara didn't say anything at first. Instead, she gestured toward the small rocking chair by the window. "Come, sit with me." Reluctantly, Amina obeyed, but not before pulling the shirt off her head. Zara looked at her for a long moment, her expression a mixture of sadness and determination. "You don't see the treasure you are, do you?" Zara said, shaking her head. "You don't see how the sun has kissed you, how the Orishas blessed you." "The sun kissed me?" Amina wrinkled her nose. "It's not a blessing. I'm too dark. Nobody calls that beautiful." Zara inhaled sharply, her lips tightening. "Sit still, child. It is time you learned a story as old as the earth itself. This is the story of how the African got sun-kissed by the sun. Long ago, in the time before time, the world was new, and the Creator was sculpting humanity out of clay. The Orishas, divine beings who guarded the earth, were tasked with carrying gifts from the heavens to the Creator's workshop. There was Obatala, who brought wisdom, Ocean, who carried beauty and abundance, Shango with his fiery passion, Yemoja with the nurturing waters of life, and Ogun, the master of strength and resilience. Each brought their unique gifts, but one ingredient was still missing: the light of the sun itself. The Creator summoned Orunmila, the keeper of divine secrets, and asked him to journey to the sun and fetch its light. The sun agreed on one condition: its light could not be held by hands alone. It had to be absorbed, lived, and carried by the Spirit. The Creator nodded. "I will fashion a people to hold this light. They will walk the earth as my reflection, a testament to life itself." The sun sent down its golden rays, and as they touched the earth, they melted into the clay from which the Creator sculpted the first humans. Their skin shimmered like bronze, their eyes gleamed like deep pools of amber, and their hair coiled like the spiraling galaxies above. The Orishas looked upon these first children of the Creator and marveled. "They carry the sun within them," Oshun whispered. "They will never lose its light." But the sun, protective of its gift, warned the Orishas, "They must always remember they are kissed by me. If they forget, their light will dim, and they will seek their worth in shadows." Grand Aunt Zara paused, her hands resting on her lap. Amina sat spellbound, her doubts melting away under the warmth of the tale. "What happened next?" Amina whispered. Zara smiled. "Ah, the story does not end. The sun's children spread across the earth, carrying their light with them. But not all remembered the blessing. Some were told that their light was too bright, that it burned too fiercely. Others were stolen from their homelands and told they were less than human. These lies clouded their minds, and many began to wish for shadows instead of light. Amina looked down at her hands, dark against the cream-colored bedsheet. "Is that why I don't feel pretty? Because I forgot?" "Yes, child. Zara said softly. You are not the first to forget, but the light has never left you. It's in your skin, in your heart, in the very rhythm of your walk. The Orishas gave you beauty, strength, wisdom, and fire. You must learn to love it again. But how? Amina asked, her voice trembling. Zara leaned forward, her eyes shining. By remembering, by listening to the stories of your people, by knowing that every curl in your hair holds the universe, that your skin carries the warmth of the sun itself, and by understanding that you, Amina, are a reflection of the Creator's light. Over the following days, Zara taught Amina more stories, tales of African queens who ruled with wisdom, of freedom fighters who defied oppression, and of artists who painted the world with their brilliance. She showed her photos of their ancestors, from the regal faces in old family albums to the radiant smiles of cousins across the diaspora. Amina began to notice the richness of her world, the deep, chocolate tones of her father's hands as he braided her hair, the gold undertones in her mother's skin when she laughed in the sunlight, the way her own reflection glowed in the mirror when she stood proud. One afternoon, Zara brought out a bundle wrapped in cloth. Inside was a bright, flowing dress of Ankara fabric, its patterns as vibrant as the stories Zara had told. This is for you, Zara said. Wear it, and let the world see your light. Amina hesitated, then slipped the dress over her head. She twirled in front of the mirror, the colors swirling around her. For the first time, she didn't imagine herself as someone else. She felt beautiful as herself. At school the next week, Amina stood taller. When her classmates teased her about her skin, she smiled and said, "That's because the sun kissed me." Some laughed, but others paused, curious. What does that mean? It means I carry the light of the Creator, Amina said, her voice steady. It means the wisdom, love, and grace of the sun is within me. Her words traveled like whispers in the wind, and soon other children, who had also felt the weight of their skin, began to ask Zara for her stories. Together, they learned to embrace their sun-kissed heritage, their beauty shining brighter with every tale. Years later, Amina became a griot herself, traveling and sharing the stories Zara had once told her. She wore her sun-kissed skin with pride, her voice a beacon for others to find their light. And somewhere, the sun smiled, knowing its children were finally remembering the gift they had carried all along.